Welcome back to Energy 101. Today we have Courtney Rubin, and we're going to be talking about coring. You can see we got some props on the table. Very exciting.
I'm very excited. I literally have no idea what coring is.
So I was going to start.
How do you spell it?
I was going to start with that. I was going to ask you, what do you think coring is? Just you hear the word, you see it. What do you think? Where do you think we're going today?
Aren't core samples a thing? Is that rock? Core, rock,
yes.
geologist? Yes.
All right, that's the episode.
Connecting dots. That's it.
Yeah, so why don't you kind of just explain the industry in general, your personal experience behind it, and yeah, let's kind of get into it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. A lot of people don't know what coring is, so that's why I'm excited to kind of, dive into the differences. So specifically, my team works in conventional coring, which means we have our own bottom hole assembly. So we're recovering core vertically in the wellbore. So I'll show you, this is a sample of the rock that you're going to take from the well. So this is a core sample. Depending on the hole size, 4 inch is kind of normal. So it's a 4-inch outer diameter. And then once my team brings it to surface, we ship it off to the lab for analysis.
So core is just a rock.
Yes.
Essentially, whatever rock is downhole. And why do we need to know that?
Right. So it's all about data and formation evaluation. So there's lots of different measurements or methods that we have in the industry to get this data, but core, we call it the ground truth. I mean, we're literally bringing the sample to surface in order to do all this testing. And depending on the client and who wants the data, everyone has a different use for it, whether it's geologist, petrophysicist, reservoir engineer. So it's really about bringing the sample to surface and then shipping it off to the lab, and they do all the analysis. And then that data gets sent to the client, and they can put it into their models or calibrate logs. So lots of different uses for it.
I feel like I have so many questions, but before we dive super deep into that, you started out in the field. You worked in the field. I feel like not super uncommon, but you're a woman in the field, which is really cool. I always love hearing experiences and things from your perspective. But can you just tell us where you're from, how you got in oil and gas, and where you started?
Yeah.
And all that.
So my father is in the oil field, and he honestly tried to keep me out of it, I think. So I'm from West Virginia, born and raised. I did my undergrad and my graduate degree studies at West Virginia University. So shout out.
Wolverines.
Mountaineers.
I don't know.
That's the funny thing. I've been in Texas off and on since 2011, and a lot of people in Texas don't even realize West Virginia is a state, let alone we have a petroleum engineering department. And
I was about to say, do they have oil and gas in West Virginia?
we do, yeah. So
Okay.
there's lots of different oil and gas operations going on in the Northeast. They're a little less in the limelight because a lot of it's gas relative to oil, but we still have oil up there too. So
The Marcellus trickles into it, right?
it's Marcellus in terms of the unconventional plays. So yeah, Marcellus and Utica are the two big plays up there. But prior to the unconventional industry, boom, the shale boom, lots of conventional work, shallow work, conventional in terms of oil. And now we do a lot of storage up there as well.
Awesome. Is that where you started out in the field? Is it in West Virginia?
No,
or Texas?
interestingly enough, yes and no out of my undergrad. So my undergrad was geology. I worked briefly as an operations geologist, and I quickly realized I really needed some field experience. And so I took an opportunity. They shipped me off to South Texas. I was in my early 20s.
Where at?
Around Pearsall, Cotulla. So that was during the unconventional. So we were targeting Eagle Ford. Now there's still a lot of Eagle Ford development, Austin Chalk. But yeah, so I cut my teeth, so to say, in South Texas. I started out mud logging, which is analyzing the cuttings. So when you drill a well, typically what you bring to surface is just fragments of this rock, right? That's the cuttings. So you can do a lot of analysis on cuttings, but not like you can the solid piece of rock. So I did mud logging for a while, and then I did MWD, so it's part of the directional side, measurement while drilling. I really enjoyed that. That was fun. And I did some geosteering as well, which is helping us stay in the target zone as we go out laterally. And
That's
yeah,
fun.
so it's been a wild ride for
So
sure.
everything.
I know. I feel like we could do so many topics with you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of experience. That's awesome.
Is mud logging just like a cheaper way of doing this?
Pretty much,
Okay.
yeah. So not all wells obviously core, and not all wells still do cuttings analysis. It all depends on what the well's purpose is and what data they need. So it's very...
Yeah. You're part of like the first the first stage of any kind of exploration, right?
Right,
Literally
so it's-
E&P exploration and what's E&P?
Production.
Production. So I feel like one of the first things, and we haven't had an episode about this yet, is seismic. That's kind of one of the first things you can do where it's like, there's nothing. It's just ground and land, and they shoot waves, and we'll save it for another episode. And then, other ways to kind of see what's down there is there's drilling a hole and doing core samples. There's wireline, which we just did an episode at Maciel. So like, are these all things that you do? You have to do seismic, wireline, coring, or do you pick one? You do a mix of them? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's very client dependent. Every client's different because obviously we're not coring just for oil and gas. Like right now, there's a big push in new energy, but it's all exploration based. So depending on each well, do they need more data for that area, right? Because once a rig moves in, like they've already decided pretty much what the plan is, right? So this is all very preliminary before you figure out how to develop an asset, right? All the science and data is done first, and then you start doing, the big multi-well pads and all that stuff that gets more attention. But all of this is very in the beginning, and it's very important, but oftentimes I don't think we talk about it a lot. So because it's not done on every well. And so, like you said, typically if you're going into a new area, you don't have any offset wells, you don't have any data, then conventional core, wireline, open hole wireline, like you said. I watched Maciel's episode, so I know a little bit about wireline. My dad's an old wireline hand, so wireline's a big part of it. There's just various methods, and it just depends on, honestly, what the client wants and needs and wants to pay for, right?
Yeah.
So.
What's interesting is that you said it's like, it doesn't even have to be oil and gas, right? So it's like, you can drill, just to take like a super layman's approach, like you can just be a company that has the tech and workforce to do it. You can go out in a spot you think has any kind of mineral or oil or whatever, hydrocarbons. You go 10,000 feet and you get core samples of everything, and then you can just pick and choose who's out there. Like, oh, we found lithium here for the people who want lithium. We found gas here. We found shale. Like,
do you find that out from the core samples, or are you finding out how to drill into?
It's more about, so for conventional, like literally it's finding oil. So right now we're more so in the unconventional, which is targeting shales. And so it's a very different dynamic. So back, like the coring industry has evolved a lot over the years because we used to literally have to find oil, right? But now with shale plays, we're going straight to the source. So we're taking longer cores. Our equipment has been advancing over the years. So it's, like you said, it's just very, I think everyone just assumes oil and gas, but we're drilling wells and we're doing a lot for storage, saltwater disposal, or gas storage, or lithium exploration, or uranium, or geothermal. Carbon capture is really big right now. Lots of different reasons why we're drilling these wells, but also needing the data.
Yeah, just to finish my point, like if y'all are going down to get oil or gas, like something specific that you're targeting, and on the way, one of your samples has like lithium in it, like is that literally like, oh shit, we got lithium in here, let's
Well, not
find a
necessarily.
buyer.
Normally when you move into an area, you already know what you're targeting. We call them wildcat wells. That's when you really have no data, right? But there's so much legacy data that typically we know what we're looking for, right? But that is how, I guess, things have evolved over the years, right?
It's a simple way to look at it.
Right, because we used to bypass the shales when we were looking for oil,
Right.
But now we're going back and studying the shales. And the same thing, like for CCS, we're storing carbon in the ground in these plays that we used to ignore. So it all just depends on what we're targeting. So.
Okay, so how do you get the sample? Does the sample actually look like that?
Yes. So
how do you get it out of the
this
ground?
Is slabbed.
Okay.
So that's what my team does. It's purely bringing the core to surface. So this is an example of a core bit.
Oh.
So typically your drill bit doesn't have a hole in it.
Right.
Oh, okay. I'm like, it looks similar.
Yeah,
right. So, I mean,
up
obviously it's bigger. This is just a model, but this is an example. So we trip to core point. They've drilled to their section that they want to start coring. And then we trip in with our whole assembly, depending on how much core they want. And with coring, you're essentially creating your own fish. So like anytime you lose something in a well, you have to go fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to recover something out of a well. But what I like to explain with coring is you're carving out this column of rock and then you're bringing it to surface. So you're basically creating your own fish. And then you don't really know what you have until you get to surface either. So it's really a very interesting operation.
How does it actually come up with like?
Right. I know it's confusing.
The hole is this small, but the core is this big. So what exactly?
Well, this is just a model, right? So the actual core bit is much bigger. Okay. So this would fit inside
the hole.
Yes.
Okay. But how does it like come up?
So this whole bottom hole assembly is there's a inner tube. So you fill the inner tube with the core, and then there's a catcher inside here called a spring type catcher. I call it a Chinese finger trap. So basically,
that's a great way to explain it.
It grabs the core, breaks it from the well, holds it, and that's how you get the core to surface.
Okay.
And then laying it down is a whole other
go
operation.
Through that.
Yeah. So that's actually one of the pictures. It has what the core looks like.
Yeah, sure. Show to class.
Yes. So with the coring operation, there's really 3 parts. So there's cutting the core, which my team does. And once we get the core to surface, we lay it out here for processing. And this is where they prepare it for shipment to the lab for analysis.
How long is the core? That's not pipe, that's actually core?
That's an inner tube that's full of core.
So it's like actually that long, the sample.
So each segment is 30 feet long.
Wow.
And so depending on how much core they want, like this example was a 300-foot run that we did. So we were able to cut all 300 feet, bring it to surface. You lay it out in these 30-foot sections, and then we process it, which typically means orientating it, putting a stripe on the barrel to make sure it doesn't get turned around, making sure that it stays in its original.
They keep the puzzle pieces in order.
Right, making sure it doesn't get mixed up, right? Because the whole purpose of coring, like it's our job to bring high quality core to surface, which means we want to try to keep it as much in its natural state as possible. But when you bring core to surface, things change because you're bringing a rock from a very high pressure area up to surface. So it's kind of like a scuba diver. So it's interesting when you core and you're tripping to surface to lay down the core, you actually have to slow down because if you trip too fastly, it's kind of like
the pressure in your ears.
Right. So that pressure can break the rock up.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really a neat situation where the lab will actually calculate bubble point, which is where that the liquid inside the rock will turn into a gas form, and that's what can cause that burst. And so we want to avoid that, right? So we slow down and allow the core to depressurize and degas so that when you get it to surface, the core is still in its complete state.
So then when you take it to testing or whatever is next, you're basically saying, okay, at this section, you have all of this going on inside of the rock?
Right. So the lab is going to do all the testing, whether they're looking for oil or gas or lithium. Like it's all very dependent on what type of reservoir they're targeting and, what kind of testing they're going to do.
Okay.
So sponge coring is a neat one. So like I mentioned, whenever you trip to surface, you're depressurizing and degassing. So you actually lose some of that formation fluid. And so this liner is going to absorb some of that oil. So we do a lot of sponge coring and EOR operations, enhanced oil recovery, when they're trying to figure out how much oil is still down there and can we recover it. So sponge coring is a really interesting.
That's really
asset
cool.
too.
Is that like kind of a new technology?
No, it's not, but it's.
What is it made out of?
I'm not really sure what this sponge liner. It's proprietary
can I
too.
feel?
Is adding pass it around to class? Is adding
it feels
expensive?
like a wafer.
Like,
So sponge coring is one of our more costly operations.
so it's like you're adding it to like 300 feet, like you said, in one run. So 300 feet of adding this like double, triples the cost, perhaps. In some kind of way.
Sponge coring is very unique too. You can only do it in 30-foot sections because you have to actually pressurize this system.
Wow.
And sponge coring is
So
a whole
when
other
is
animal.
you said in EORs they would use that. Is there another use case where they would use that?
Right now, there probably is. I've only seen it in enhanced oil recovery. So when you're trying to get a more accurate oil in place measurement, because like I mentioned, when you trip, you lose some of that fluid. So you're still not getting an exact measurement, because that's the whole point of this, is to get a true measurement. And the reason that you're going to core versus wireline sometimes is that all of that's called an indirect measurement, right? You're sending tools down hole and it's taking measurements, but you're not directly, like, this is a very direct measurement, right? And
you don't say.
and we use this data to calibrate those logs as well to make sure that they're as accurate as possible.
Interesting. Okay. I feel like I had such a different in my head when I saw the samples. I did not think it was like this huge operation. I was like, oh, they just pull a little bitty sample, take that up there. But it makes sense that you do the whole thing so you can know your whole well.
Yeah. I mean, we're not asking the very dumb question, which is, can you look at it with your eyes and be like, oh, there's the oil?
Actually, so sometimes, I've seen samples come to surface oozing oil.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
What about like a slither of like gold or lithium in there? Anything like that?
I've never seen that, because honestly, like in that picture, we don't actually get to see the core a lot of times.
Do you ever go to the lab?
I do occasionally go to the lab, and that's where I've been able to snag these samples.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
do they take it out of the
sometimes you do, but most of the time the goal is to keep it as unbothered as possible, right? Get
even
it to
through
surface.
testing?
Well, no, once they get it to the lab, then they unpack it. And that's whenever they actually slab it, because this is called slabbing, where they cut it to make a flat surface, and they've taken plugs. So that's what I wanted to mention too. So Wireline takes sidewall cores, which is very different from the core that we cut, right? Sidewall cores are taken from the wall of the wellbore, and ours is vertically, right? So it's a different orientation. It's a smaller amount of rock, but these are still valuable information. But whole core gives you a lot more rock to do a lot more testing with, a larger surface area, especially for like geomechanics data. Whole core, it's the top of the line, right? Because it's a more costly operation. That's part of the issue, is that the rig time associated with it. But the data that you get out of it is higher, right? But then the labs will go back and take the plugs in sections that they want to test more also. So these can come directly from the well or from the core sample.
Do y'all then take it back to the company and be like, this is your sample? Like, do y'all take little samples back, or they just get the data in a spreadsheet, basically?
Honestly, it's probably a mix.
Okay.
Like, again, I don't deal with anything past this operation.
Okay.
I have an idea of what goes on at the labs, but everyone has their, specific means of what they focus on.
Yeah.
And that's what's so interesting about it, is like, this is all my team does, right?
So y'all only do coring, and then you send it to like a third party lab.
That
then
does all
they
the
can
testing.
choose their own lab.
Right. The client is choosing
it.
who
Okay,
cuts
okay,
the
okay.
core, and then
Got
they
it.
choose who analyzes the core.
Okay.
And then the data goes back to the client, and then they use it however they want.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you start drilling your hole to get coring samples and stuff like that, is that hole technically like a starting point for if they're like, okay, let's drill here? Like, so you're kind of like helping start.
Right. So it's like you said, it's the exploration phase. So a client's going to decide, is this reservoir, is this worth developing, right? We hope it is, but sometimes it's not. So that's what's really interesting about offshore coring.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was.
Yeah.
Every time we cover like some kind of small niche industry in the oil and gas industry, it's like, okay, well, how's that work offshore? And it's
Right.
always like a slightly different answer or a crazy different answer. So
Yeah, because offshore, it's a totally different animal, right?
do you have experience?
I went once right before COVID, so it was
You actually went offshore?
I went to a
Oh
drill
my
ship
God.
and
Was it the Gulf or
the Gulf, yeah.
Was
So-
it? How was your experience? Was it cool?
Oh, it was amazing, but I learned a valuable lesson because they don't always core, which is interesting. We'll spend years planning offshore projects, and then they'll get to core point and they'll run logs and they'll say, whether they want to core or not. So you're investing lots of time and money into these exploration wells, and they're not always going to core, So
So did y'all or not?
on that well, we did not. We planned for years. We get out there, we have the barrel racked back, ready to go.
What?
And then they say, no, we're not coring.
Because they had already the data they needed?
No, it just.
Winging it.
Yeah,
They're like too
essentially-
expensive.
Saving money.
No, it's not. They were ready to core, but whatever they discovered downhole wasn't necessarily what they found. Like they didn't want to core it.
Oh.
So whether they, it's just very dependent upon, because in that sense, most of your offshore operations, you are still, it's very, you're striking oil, you're looking for oil. So.
Yeah. Were you disappointed?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's cool that you got to go out there and like experience it though.
Yeah, it was. The drill ship in itself was just such an amazing feat of
To
engineering.
look at, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's
Did
like
you
my
do
dream.
Did you do helicopter escape
Yes.
I was
training?
about to ask that
Yes,
too.
that was
Classic.
not fun.
No.
No.
Did you
Hewitt
freak out?
training.
I would have freaked out.
I freaked out a little
What
bit.
is it called?
Too. Hewitt.
Hewitt?
Can't remember what it stands for.
Is that like a last name and it's just named
It's
after
like
someone?
helicopter
HUET.
underwater
Right.
I can't remember what it stands for.
Yeah,
either.
training.
Anyone who goes offshore does what happens when the helicopter crashes into the ocean and you have to escape training, basically, right?
Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah.
whole helicopter crash simulation to where you're submerged and you have to get
That's what
out
it's
and
called.
swim out.
Helicopter underwater escape training.
Okay. Helicopter underwater escape training.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
Let me get back into like basic core questions.
Yeah.
So accuracy wise, let's say it's like, okay, we want to go down and start a run, right? You said like 300 feet is typical maybe.
It totally depends.
So let's say, okay, we want to start exactly at 3,750 and end at 3,000 or 4,050, right?
Okay.
Like, and get that perfect, like by the foot 300. Like,
Right.
can y'all do that? Or
Yeah.
does it matter?
No,
Really?
it all just runs off of the EDR of typical like drilling. So we have, we're tracking the depth as we're coring.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like by the foot accurate pretty much.
It's close. Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea how we like even measure that or even like altitude. It's like, oh, when you're climbing a mountain and your watch, like your iPhone tells you like, oh, you're at 1,322 feet. It's like, how accurate is that? I don't know. But
Well, that's one thing I learned in the field. So the whole way that they track the depth of the well is by measuring the pipe. They physically go out there and measure the pipe and they input it's called the pipe tally. So if those are off, then your pipe tally can get off. But it's purely by measuring the joints of pipe that you're
really
running
expensive
downhole.
rulers, basically.
Yeah.
One more core question while we're in the hole. So let's say it's like you want to start doing a run 5,000 feet in, right? So you have to go 5,000 feet of just drilling,
right.
just whatever, like the rocks are garbage. Then you start. Then can you go again? Like,
Yeah.
Basically, what do you do? Like you drill, pull out, put in the tool, pull out. Like, how does that work?
There's different technologies, but what we find the most, I guess, works best
Efficient.
for most. Yeah, efficient. You have your drilling BHA. You drill to core point. You trip out. You pick up the coring BHA. You core your section. Trip out with the core. Lay down the core. If you want to go back in for more core, you can. Or if you need a drill, like you said, to the next core point. So it's a lot of tripping, a lot of going in and out.
Right.
of
Is
the
there
hole.
like some kind of advanced tool in the work where it's like it can just drill and then like transform into
There are tools like that on the
Really?
market.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to drill. You want to go down 5,000 feet to start getting the core, right? You got to just kind of drill the garbage away to get there. But once you get there, you have to pull out and go to the coring one. You got to put the tool on and go back. What if the tool can just like transform and then you get the core? And she's saying that literally exists.
Interesting.
Which is cool.
Yeah. But it's costly and you can't run as much core with those assemblies. So there's all different pluses and minuses to all the technologies, because that's what's interesting about core too, is that a lot of times we're coring blind, right? So we don't have a lot of downhole like MWD tools on our assemblies. We're using parameters, just your typical weight on bit, torque, pump pressure, all to indicate what's going on downhole. So with coring, one of the most common instances of having to trip early is called a core jam. So essentially you're no longer coring and the rock has wedged off somewhere in the assembly and you have to trip to surface and clear the jam. So one of our solutions for core jamming, it's called Jam Buster. So the way it works, there's 2 telescoping sleeves inside the assembly. So whenever you jam, they will activate and kind of encapsulate your jam and move it up along so you can keep coring instead of having to trip to clear that obstruction. So we have different technologies. Jam Buster is definitely one of the ones we use a lot with these long barrels, because that's been a whole other industry shift, because a lot of previous coring was 30, 60, 90 feet. But then with the shale boom and our tool evolution over the years, and especially our core bits, all the technology combined is allowing us to core these longer barrels, so it saves rig time, because that's what's really important, is to reduce NPT or non-productive time, because to be honest, drilling guys really hate coring because it's a slow operation.
Because you have to go slower.
Right. Because
what isn't,
but the geologists, they love it, right? So it's always, as a coring person, we have to play the middleman between balancing the drilling operation and what the geologists want.
How long does the job normally take?
It's totally dependent on how much core they want, but it can take a day to a few weeks.
Okay.
It just
depends.
Yeah.
Do you still go out to the field?
Not
for jobs
lately. I used to. So the one advantage I had was I did train with these guys. I think I mentioned. So the first year I was just out with them training, learning the tools. So then I could go and talk to clients about it. And so I should probably go out more, to be honest. But I think as we get older, we get a little more relaxed with avoiding the field life.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
The field is tough for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get into the horizontal side of it, because like if you're going thousands of feet down, you're passing all kinds of layers. I mean, like that's literally how just geology works. Like everything stacks like pancakes. Mm-hmm. So you're passing so much information going down, and the whole point of horizontal drilling is I want to go into this one pancake. Let's just right. Mm-hmm. So like, is there even a point of coring sideways? Because if you're in the shale zone you want to be in and you start going sideways, it's all going to just be the same, right?
We think, yeah. But in reality, it probably changes some, especially
hit a little.
Yeah. So like, is that with horizontal drilling being so big in the last decade? Like, are we coring sideways right now?
We do, but it's normally, from what I've seen, it's actually they're interested in looking at the fracture. So actually it's going into an area after they've fracked it to map how well their proppant has, moved throughout their zone. So that's the application I've seen for horizontal coring. But typically we are vertical. It's, like you said, the layers are typically laminated. So you're collecting all the data that way. And yeah, I don't know if there's, most of the time, once you start going out laterally, you are supposed to be in the same rock, right? Whether you are or not depends.
If everyone did their job.
Right.
So if I don't know if have experience with the fracking, but we kind of talked about this with Wireline, like there's multiple uses. You're going after the frack's done. So like, you're not just in the early stage, you're now in a later stage. Coring has like a new purpose, right? But if you want to go down and check the frack, you got to go, let's say it's 10,000 feet down. Like, are you going on a hole next to it? Like, are you drilling right on the side of it? Are you going down the casing hole? Like, how do you go down there and check if you're going on the lateral? You said they checked the post fracking.
Yeah, you're going in. I mean, they've drilled that well for variety of reasons, right? But the one well I can think of where we went horizontal, yeah, you just trip in like you would of the drilling assembly, but with our coring assembly and get laid out.
Yeah, or the hole's empty, so everyone's out. You go in, right? Okay.
Well, we're making the hole, right?
Oh, okay.
Because you need the rock.
Oh, right.
So we're still making hole, but we're going slower too.
Fracking just sounds so simple. It's like you go down there, boom. But it's like, it's so complex. Like,
fracking
of course.
It is. Yeah.
Wait, so in that example, obviously they already have a well drilled. Do you go next to it or something?
That's what I was saying.
I think there probably was a nearby well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like a super complex way to describe it, but I'm looking for the easy answer, and it's just it doesn't exist. So you get all these cores, hundreds of feet. What do you do with them? Like they're here right now as like an example. They're like little trophies, like little knickknacks. Like what's actually
handle holders?
Like theoretically, there are millions of feet of cores that we've taken out the ground. It isn't like we need to put them back. It's not like environmentally. It's like, oh, we got to put the rock back. It's like it's just rocks. Like who cares? Like what are some of the like? Is there an industry like that helps dispose of the cores or?
I'm not sure about that. I do know, I mean, once the core gets to the lab, some labs charge storage fees so that the core stays there for the client and they can come and retest and visit their rock or do, it's their rock, right? They can do whatever they want with it. And then it gets to a point, though, where they give it away, right? That's why I
know, I want some.
I know, it's hard to get your hands on, trust me. It's not easy, but.
I bet there's like some core art where like they have like beautiful pieces and they made like staggering. And
they do a lot of lamps with sections of core. It's pretty. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain him. Someone who used to be in my life, he was like my stepdad. He was a geologist.
Okay.
And he gave me a big rock for my wedding gift. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's a bowl or what kind of rock or anything like that. But he always gave like big, like designer rocks.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, as gifts. It was really heavy. I think one time I feel really bad, but I didn't bring it with me when I moved because I'm like, it's heavy.
Oh, yeah. Because I've had to cut down on my rock collection over the years because I've moved so much in this industry that I'm like, I'm just tired of hauling all this weight around. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Let's kind of get into like the future and the technology of it all. So it's like you're grabbing a few hundred feet at a time. Or do we want to be able to grab more? Like, do we want to be able to grab like 2,000 foot samples?
Well, that it's interesting you say that because that is kind of where this industry has went, right? Like I said, we're trying to be more efficient with our rig time and capturing longer sections per run. So like a recent record that we set in Canada was 820 feet in a single run. A recent record we set in the Permian, I think it was 630 or so per run. So it all just depends on the formation. So that's with coring, it's all about if your rock is user friendly or not. So hard rock cores really well because if you think about it, once you turn it into a column, it has to have it's the weight of itself in that assembly. I mean, it's very heavy, right? Like you said, I mean, just this one piece is heavy. You imagine hundreds of feet of core in this assembly, right? So that column needs to be able to hold the weight of itself because when you move into like CCS, which is, we're targeting softer rocks commonly. And so the lower strength rocks, we core them completely differently. So that's one thing. It's all about the rock and the strength and whether we're expecting a lot of formation changes or fractures or faulting, because all of those things can cause the jams, like I mentioned. So you have to trip and clear the jam, or if Jam Buster can save you. But what's really interesting about the soft sediment, we have a different tool for that. So it completely shuts off the face of the core bit. And so nothing can fall out, because with softer sediment, essentially, it can just fall right out of the barrel.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This stuff's been underground for like millions of years. And the second the pressure's gone, it can break apart.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What about like AI? Is like it's so funny. Like everything you've explained, it's like it seems like y'all kind of know what y'all are like. Y'all kind of figured it out. It's like we're like at peak coring. I feel like what can we possibly improve on, and can AI even like do anything in this industry?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, there are different technologies. Like we have one called Copilot, which is putting basically an MWD tool on top of the core barrel. So it's giving you more specific downhole parameters to give you better decision making about whether you're coring or you're jammed. But I don't know what AI holds for us. I hope, with all of these new introductions of data and analyzing it, and like, to me, pattern recognition, I feel like would be really helpful to see which rock cores better than others, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So maybe I'm sure we'll get there. So
let's maybe go back to some of the personal stuff or your previous experience. You mentioned online that like you've worked in 10 different states. Is that about right?
Yeah, probably more now.
Yeah. So what I want to do is kind of like compare the culture between like the states you've worked in and stuff. Like you can assume like the culture and the vibe of like people in Midland compared to like in Canonsburg or whatever, in Pittsburgh and Marcellus and stuff. Like what have you experienced, and is there any like interesting stories to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I love about this industry the most, are all the different people that I've worked with and met. I mean, I'm a girl from West Virginia. I had no idea what I was getting into. And my father said that. He said, "You're way too naive to go work on a drilling rig in South Texas at 21. And of course, I was like, what do you know? But of course, it's true. Like, it's a very tough environment, but most of the people are fantastic and they want to teach you and they want, to see you learn. So I'd say South Texas was definitely eye-opening, that culture. We were not far from the border, a lot of border patrol and a lot of safety concerns around just being close to the border. So that was interesting. Louisiana, the food and the people is probably my favorite part of Louisiana.
Where at in Louisiana did you work?
So I can't really give too many specifics around
South
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
South. I haven't specifically worked any northern Louisiana.
Okay.
But yeah. But obviously West Virginia is near and dear to my heart. The roads though in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, everyone jokes because a lot of times we get shipped to different areas, right? And even my dad has commented that he'll get crews from Louisiana or Texas and they're driving big trucks up there and like they can't get their trucks up to location, right? Because we're cutting out roads on the sides of mountains and putting pads on top of mountains, and just building a pad up in the Northeast is way more intense than building a pad in Texas or even any other flat area. And then I did some time working up in like Colorado and Wyoming, and those areas are just so beautiful too. I was really taken aback by how beautiful the scenery is there. I think the only basin I haven't worked in is the Bakken up in North Dakota. So I've seen them all, worked in most of them, but...
What's your favorite?
Favorite?
Yeah.
I really like South Louisiana,
Yeah?
probably. Yeah.
Not the North Slope of Alaska, anything like
I
that?
have not been to Alaska, no, but the offshore was really amazing. I think the drill ship, when I was out there, I was really contemplating. I was like, do I want to do this all over? Do I want to just go full blown back in the field to work on drill ships? So, and I was like, probably not.
Cool. I'm sure it's cool for a little bit, and then you're like ready to go home.
Well, the main difference too with land and offshore, they normally have a rotation, some type of rotation, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. Land, it's kind of the Wild West. Like I never really had a rotation.
You're just on call.
Yeah. So out there until the job's done. And when I did MWD and geosteering, I followed a rig. So the only downtime I had was casing breaks and skidding the rig. And so, I mean, you're really immersed in the life when you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get like burnt out?
Oh, yeah.
Or you're like, I just want to go home.
Oh, yeah. In the beginning, where I was very naive to the working environment and being a woman there were many occasions where I wanted to quit. And it would have been easy to, right? I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people still don't think women should be in the field, regardless of how much progress we've made. And I think one of my strengths is just using the fact that being underestimated is actually something that you can, make a strength of yours, because everyone kind of, I think, underestimates a woman in the field until you get out there and you prove your worth and you say, I can do this work and I enjoy it. And so,
yeah.
But there was a few times I remember calling my dad saying, I want to throw in the towel. And he was like, no, hang in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you looking back? Are you like thankful for all the experience you had?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some things I struggle sometimes wondering if I want to promote, I guess, there's trade-offs, right? The field is hard in general, but the wealth of knowledge you get out there is
the hands-on experience can't be taught anywhere else. Like, it is so hard. I think that's why. So I'm from Midland. I feel like being raised in it and around it and seeing it, like, I should know more. But I feel like you just, like, unless you've been out there and you've seen the equipment, you've seen like all the things, it's so hard to like grasp.
It is. And that's why you really have to stay out there. And that's why it's I think easy. Sometimes people are like, you can go out and learn by selling equipment or visiting the rig. But in my experience, I think in most experience, until you're really submersed in it and forced to learn it and then do it and teach somebody else to do it, it's like anything. It just takes a lot of time and repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the working in the field gave you a hard work ethic, or do you feel like you have to have a hard work ethic to work in the field?
Both. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what I really gained from my dad was I've always had a hard work ethic because of him, but the field taught me so much around just not only working hard, but being prepared. Because when you're going out to these rigs, you have to make sure you have all your supplies and food and water and directions and fuel. And that was a huge learning for me, is just being prepared. But also when you're in the field, there's the saying, like, never have the rig waiting on you, which means you better be ready when it's your time.
A sense of urgency.
Right. And there's always a sense, it's hurry up and wait, because you're hurrying up to do your job and then you're waiting.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest, I think, lessons I've learned working in the field was always be early, be ready, double check your tools, communicate with people, and safety, definitely. I mean, always be aware of what you're doing, and because it's definitely a dangerous environment.
Of course.
I have one last question.
Me too.
Mine's more around, like, what are you excited about in the industry, not just in coring, but in the industry as a whole? You're a geologist, you've got a master's in petroleum engineering. Like, what are you excited about in this industry?
Honestly, I'm really excited for the new energy piece. Like, I know there's always this constant back and forth about energy transition. I do believe it's a mix of everything. We're going to have oil and gas and solar and wind and carbon capture and geothermal and lithium. Like, I do believe there's a place for all of it. And I think that's what I'm excited about, is the continuation of traditional, energy methods, but enhancing other ones as well. I think. Yeah, I know it's kind of not what most people say in the oil field.
I feel like it's a much needed perspective. I think all energy is very important. The more energy we have, the better, especially with the rise of AI and technology in general. We need more power. We'll be driving like hydrogen cars, but like wearing clothes that are still made out of petroleum. Like that is literally what's going to happen. And that's exactly what you're saying. It's like everything is going to be everywhere. So. Yeah. Last question, again, kind of personal. You're repping West Virginia today.
Yeah.
West Virginia, I'm a big like geography city nerd. I love like the US in general. Like, people like to go to Europe and they love to go to Asia. It's like, I love this country. I think it's beautiful, the geography from every part of it. And West Virginia is easily one of the most crapped on states. Everyone thinks it's like
this is sadly
a crap
the truth.
hole.
Yeah.
I mean, statistically, infrastructure wise, like the stats don't say it, whatever, but It's a beautiful state. It has a lot of great parts of it. You know, what's something you can say right now to like to praise your state and let people know, those doubters, those haters know how great the state of West Virginia is?
I think most people just haven't been there, right? So if you ever get the opportunity, there's so much like outdoor, whether it's whitewater, you know, rafting, a lot of kayaking, a lot of hiking, a lot of rock climbing. I mean, it's really an outdoor person's paradise.
What area or city would you recommend?
So in kind of the armpit of West Virginia, in between the Eastern Panhandle. So that's where the mountain range goes through. So there's an area called like Seneca Rocks. Canaan Valley is a place where my family continues to go to every year. A beautiful, beautiful area, especially around the fall time. That's really the best time to go is the foliage to catch the leaves before they fall. And then yeah.
I'd say the beginner's route is Harper's Ferry. Is that what it's called?
I've never been to Harper's Ferry.
It's on the very tip.
Right.
But if you go to like DC or Baltimore,
right.
it's in that area. Like you can just drive there. That whole area is just so beautiful. Like everything's just rocky and wavy, and the foliage, the trees. It's like it really like it has a northeastern vibe that I love.
Well, the Appalachian Mountains are the oldest mountain range, so that's what's so beautiful about them is that they're very rounded and eroded from a geological point of view. But yeah,
very underrated part of the country. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. We have some photos. Is there anything we can kind of pull up and talk about?
You wanna tell us about like what's going on in each of your?
Sure. So this was when I trained with the guys in the field. So this is me holding a sample of core. This is actually what we call the core stump. So this was where the coring job ended. So that's the last part of the core, and we basically pulled it right out of the shoe. And we're getting ready to process it. So
was it freezing? Where were you?
It was cold. I have lots of layers on. It was cold for sure. This is another picture. This is when I was MWD hand, and it's funny because a lot of our PPE does not fit women.
Yeah.
So the joke here was that my coveralls did not fit at all.
What did you rolled them?
No, I just could not wear these. I ended up just getting.
They have like now they should have women coveralls, right?
They should.
We went to the frac spread in Midland, and they had the students. Half the class were women, and everyone fit and looked pretty good. So
good. I hope it's getting better. The joke was in the field. I don't cook to this day. I'm not much of a cook, so the guys always cooked for me. But I would bake. So I used to bake, make cake and brownies and stuff for the guys. So, but this is an example of like where we lived on site, was just in the trailer. So
yeah, the man camps and stuff. I love that.
Did you have your own room and everything while you were there?
Yes, and I mean that was the big thing with women being out there. I mean, there's 2 rooms, so you're always in the room by yourself, but there's usually a bunk bed, so you change out whoever's on tower, right? So you're sharing a room, but never at the same time. Yeah. Another field pick from MWD.
I love your hard hat.
Sick helmet.
It's a hard hat, not a helmet.
I know. I just broke a rule there.
This was when I first started doing MWD, because that's what's funny. All these pictures, like, you just kind of selfie it because you never can get a picture of you, like, actually doing the job.
Yeah.
But after the fact, you're like, yeah, I got all muddy doing my job.
No, this is, take photos when you're out in the field. Like, we encourage it. We're telling people to do it just for our own platform.
Post it on Collide.
But it's like, you're going to go out and like have this, you're going to start off young, being a roughneck, whatever. And you're going to go to the office and be older. You're going to have no photos and memories of like, you're going to have incredible stories and you didn't take one selfie. Like a photographer's not going out there and taking photos. So.
Right. And I encourage selfies because there's still a lot of proprietary nature about taking photos on the rig and even having your phones out. So that's why it's really a no-no. I don't know if it's changed, but you're not.
I've shot so many rigs in high quality 4K. You can see anything.
Good.
But like people don't you want to go tell your friends or your kids growing up, it's like they think they don't know what the scene is like. Right. So they're kind of picturing like,
that is so true to
like,
show.
Like what are they picturing when you tell them these stories? It's like start with something.
Well, this is the very first time I was ever on a rig floor, and the company man, we were hanging out in the doghouse. And I was a mud logger, so you see I was very clean here. I was not dirty. And he was like, come out on the rig floor and take your picture and send your dad, because yeah, like that is, we all want to, show what we're doing, but at the end of the day, pictures are still kind of a gray
But it's like a proud moment.
yeah.
Great advice.
And this was once I was all proud and I was a lead MWD hand, so now I was just like, yeah.
I'm here.
Owning
it. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, then we already went through that one, and I think there was this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this one's really interesting. Do you have any idea what that is?
It looks like oil. Like something cut the thing, maybe, I don't know. What do you think?
You just cut the casing open and that's the core inside.
Right, so that's
with
oil.
Oh.
Well, the oil, that's not necessarily oil from the rock. When we're drilling, we have oil-based mud, right?
Oh, okay.
But this pattern, I thought was really neat the first time I saw it. So this is the top of the core. So this is actually the pattern that a PDC drill bit makes. You normally wouldn't see that, right? Because you're...
Oh.
Right, but this is where the core started, so we were actually able to see the pattern.
That's super cool.
From the PDC drill bit that drilled to that core point.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The
Cool.
geologists love that one. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. This is awesome. I
Yeah,
love
thank you.
coring. I love rocks. I love
Well, before
geology.
I want to show you my salt core
Yeah.
too.
Speaking of rocks, we got a couple who haven't seen.
So this is my favorite one. This
I
is
love
the
that
salt
one.
core.
What's her name?
She doesn't have a name. She needs a name.
Sodium. Sodium.
It's so pretty.
Yeah. So
did it go through any kind of processing or anything?
No,
it's just like literally came out of the ground like this.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
So that's an example of salt core. We core a lot of salt for storage wells, especially on the Gulf Coast. So salt caverns.
To put the carbon in for CCUS?
No, a lot of salt cavern wells, and maybe they're evolving into CCS, but it's mostly just gas storage, I believe, or LNG. There's various reasons.
There's CO2 storage too, I think.
And salt caverns, perhaps, yeah. You could be very well right about
we haven't
that.
had our episode yet on that, but I've learned a little bit. It's a lot.
Yeah. So, but salt caverns are really interesting because you're actually leaching the salt out and creating like a cavern down hole, right? And that's where they're storing whatever they want to store down there. But they need the core data to make sure that the cavern has good integrity and that it's not going to possibly leak or anything like that.
Right. Did we look at this?
This one's also a salt core,
Right.
but just shows you like what different salts can look like. Yeah. I think that one came from about 5,000 feet.
4,900.
Yeah.
I love the just writing on it. It's so cool. If I licked it, would it taste salty?
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
God, that was what my intrusive thoughts were saying.
Trust me. I think
My life is an intrusive thought.
Did you lick it?
No. Oh my God, it's salty.
It's very salty.
Have you licked it before?
Oh yeah.
Bro,
Okay,
next
good.
time
I was
boil-
like holding it like I want to lick
I need to get one of these, and every time I'm boiling pasta, just like chisel it with a knife. That'd be such a cool thing to do. I'd be like, what is this?
And then the last, is there one more?
These are just the samples of sidewall cores. So
From the Wireline.
Right.
Right.
Just to show you the difference in what but those are both sandstones. So you can just tell like a sandstone, you can see basically the porosity and permeability in these. Yeah.
All right. I think that's it, huh?
This was so fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
I hope it made sense.
No, this was perfect. I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool.
You answered all the dumb questions.
Yes.
Thanks
we had
for
a lot-
having me.
Lots
Yeah.
of dumb questions. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.